Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today I am real excited. We got our last frost out of the way. Today's the 14th of March, and I've been looking at the 10-day forecast, and in fact mine goes out all the way to the 28th of March, and it looks like no more freezes. So we should be good to go. And for those of you who are wondering, here in the Jacksonville area, is it time to plant your plants? I would say yes. I'm going to start filling up my garden, getting all the stuff out of this greenhouse and out into the garden. Alright, so now how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing is you got to have some sort of a plan. Now, does this need to be written down? Does it need to be a plan on paper? No, it really doesn't. You can go about doing this however you want to. I have a plan just because I have so much garden and so much stuff that I want to do it in some sort of a planned out manner. So with that being said, what we're going to do, let me show you the plan first. Now you can see that what this is what's called almanac.com. It's the Old Farmer's Almanac, and inside of there, if you pay a subscription, and even if you don't, there's a trial period that you can use this, you know, if I think it's 30-day trial, something like that. A lot of good information on this website. You do have to pay for it, and I'm not sponsored by them in any shape, way, or any means at all, but it's a really good garden planner, and it gives me the ability to lay out a square foot garden, lay out my entire garden, and kind of decide where I want to put things in some sort of logical fashion. I'm sure there are other garden planners out here. This is the one I use, and so far I really kind of like it. It actually shows you what plants are companion plants for what other plants, and so on. So I think it's a pretty cool thing, and I recommend it. I mean, it seems like for the money you pay, it's a pretty good deal. But anyway, with that being said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting stuff out in the garden. Now to do that, I've got a couple of tools. One, because my Wi-Fi doesn't go all the way out to the garden, I've got a notepad. And on the notepad, I'm writing down which plants go in which squares so that I kind of follow my plan for the square foot garden. That's the one I think is the most difficult, because I got a plan of where I want everything at, and I want to make sure that I get them in the spots that I want them in. Alright? And then two, I got my pen and my labels. Alright, we want to have something to identify what plant is what, particularly like varieties. I mean, I can tell what a cucumber looks like, I can tell what a tomato looks like, but having that information on the variety there is a big help. And then three, some sort of digging tool. Though I can do it here with my hands, the digging tool does make things a little bit easier. That being said, what did I have on there? That being said, we're going to start taking the plants out. These are my cucumber starts. My basil tray. Oh, by the way, for planting basil, this was really cool. This is basically a Denny's box, and I just threw some dirt in it, threw some soil on it, closed it up, and voila, I got a whole bunch of basil from the seed that I kept from last year. And then I want to get cabbage and some cabbage. So we're going to start with this. We're going to take it out to the garden, and let's get to planting. Okay, so the first thing, you can see I got weeds in here. Alright, now I'll go through and I'll pull these weeds out as we go along. I mean, I could go through and weed the whole thing, but it's really not that big a deal. When I go to planting, I'll just start pulling, alright, in the square foot that I've got. Now if you look along here, you can see I've got these nails. These nails are set in 1 foot apart all the way down. Same thing up here, I got nail and nail. So basically that's got it divided out into a square foot garden. Now I could go back and put string on it like I did before, but I found last time, one, the string rotted because I didn't really want to get nylon string. I went with cotton and it rotted out pretty quickly. And then two, every time I come in here and start to doing anything, I found that more often than not I was cutting the string because it just kept getting in the way. So I'm just going to go with my eyeball and call it good that way. Alright, so let's start with basil. Now the basil what I've done is I've laid out, like I said, in spot 1, 1. So it's going to start with spot or line 1, 2, 3, and then spot 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 12. So I said I'm going to put basil in 1, 1, and that's 4 per spot. So the way I'm going to do that, this bad boy here, is I'm just going to take my little spatula, or my little spade here. I'm going to dig up some basil plants. Now you'll see that what I can do is just pull them out in little pieces and get rid of the weeds and separate them out so that I've got individual plants this way. Alright, this works out really well and should be no problem for these things to grow up and get strong. Now I also know that for basil it's 4 per, so I'm going to basically go to the 4 corners. I'm going to plant these bad boys down in there like so. Now one of the things, I was talking to somebody online and they were talking about how they were having issues with their plants wilting shortly after planting, and that they felt like they had done something wrong. Now I'll tell you, anytime that you're planting plants, you're going to get what's called root shock or plant shock when you go to plant them in the dirt. It's just a normal circumstance that's going to happen, and then they will 99.9% of the time recover just fine from it if you give them plenty of water. Alright, so there's my 1 square foot section with basil. That's got my 4 plants in it. Now let's look at the next one. 3, 6. So 3 is over there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so it's going to go basically where this is. So 3, 6, we're talking right here, and this square right there. And once again, we just take our plants like so. Take your weeds out, no point in planting weeds. Plant those there. Like I said, I know that 4 is the magic number. Now one of the things, this dirt seems very dry. Which is crazy because we just got inches and inches of rain here recently. But it is what it is. So like I said, one of the things I'm going to do before I'm done today is soak all of this down really well. And one of the reasons I'm trying to get planted today is because we do have a bunch of rain coming up here in the very near future. Right, take that out. Get these bad boys out. I'll leave that marigold. I might not want that. Alright, so let's talk about actual starts in a regular old tray. First thing you want to do is squeeze them, and then normally at the bottom there's a little push up where you can push that up a little bit. And then we're going to take, hopefully not drop all of them in my hand. And you're going to end up with something like this. Now if your starts are good and healthy, you should see a lot of roots. But if you're using your own personal soil like I am, you're probably going to find that you got a lot of weeds in there too. Now obviously we don't really want that growing. So once you pull the weeds out and you're left with your plant, you want to keep that root ball intact as much as possible. So 2, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to go in there. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. Alright, and so what you're going to do is just dig your hole right in the middle. Right there. Just plant that whole bad boy right in there. Alright. And then, like I said, we're going to water this all in real good. Soak that in. Now, you soak it in for a couple of reasons. One is that it's going to water the plant. But two, you want to try and make sure that you get enough water in there to where it takes and fills in all the voids where you've dug a hole and essentially you've left air bubbles in the dirt. And roots don't grow in air, they grow in dirt. Otherwise we could just, you know, plant them anywhere. Alright, so you want to soak that in real well and go like so. Alright, so once again, let me go ahead and go through and get a lot of this planted, and I'll get back with you and show you what it looks like when we're done. Alright, so got most of it planted. There's a few spots yet that I haven't decided what to put into, but I'll go through it real quick. What I got here is some basil. Alright, tomato, which is a sweeted tomato. I've got beans, I got chard, I got dill. I'm not sure what I got. I got a bell pepper there. I got some garlic there. I got kale. I got another tomato down here, which is an Acres plum. I got some cabbage, some basil, some more beans over there. This is a baby marigold. Some onions. Kobachi peppers here. This is toothache plant. Another cabbage. Romaine lettuce there, a dill here, some nasturtiums over there, another marigold here, beans, basil, romaine lettuce, a cucumber with some garlic chives, and another tomato back there. Oh, and of course, you know, my kale here, which survived from last year. Alright, so the reason I do this is, again, so that basically having so many different smells and types of plants all in one area will help to keep the pests confused. It'll also, the way I've got it laid out, the stuff that can take the heat is more on the summer side of things, and the early morning sun or the sunrise sun, that's on the eastern side, and that's where the stuff that's going to do better in shade and coolness is going to be overall. Alright, we'll see how it does. I've got some flowers like these toothache plants, some nasturtiums, some marigolds planted in there to draw in pollinators, but also once again to confuse the pests. And maybe even, like, I think the nasturtiums are actually like a trap crop, so they'll come in and they'll eat the nasturtiums instead of other things. And of course the garlic and dill, which is a pest deterrent type plant, and the onions as well. Alright, so that's what I got going on in my square foot garden. I'll show you again as time goes on throughout the summer how things are doing and what's looking good. I mean, I got to do some work, like my tomato plants are looking a little bit weak, but I don't want to trim them back. Like, here, come over here, let me show you this real quick. Like, I've got a little bit of mildew on this, and I will go back and trim it back, but I want to wait till that plant starts to get a little more vibrant, a little more healthy. It's one of the disadvantages of growing tomatoes in a greenhouse is it stays very humid in there and allows a lot of that mildew to grow up on it. But it'll be fine. I'll cut all that back, and then it'll come up and grow all new growth here shortly. Alright, so that's what I got going on in my garden today. I'm getting things planted. Oh yeah, one more thing. All along here is some basil that I've gotten planted. And then watch the kuya there. And then I got my cucumbers laid out over here and back over here. Alright. Now I'm going to come through and hit it again with water. So basically what this garden here is going to be, that's watermelon, squash, and cucumbers all in one spot, so that if I do get a bad batch of bugs, they'll all stay in this area here. So next year I can move all them to another area and plant stuff in here that won't be affected by those particular bugs. Alright, but that's what I got going on today, man. It's a beautiful day to get out there, get some stuff planted. I highly recommend it. Thanks once again for stopping by and taking a look at what I got happening here. And if you don't mind, give me a like and subscribe and let me know what you think. But most importantly, get it growing, man. Get some stuff in the ground. I mean, it's the perfect time. Not looking at any more freezes. It's still cool enough for the cool season crops, but warm enough for the warm season crops to really start taking off. Alright, thanks for stopping by. Y'all take care and come back and see me.